What's up, Planeswalkers? It's your boy K-Dog, back in standard for a Simic list, and this one we're building around Simic Ascendancy. Obviously this card is going to be rotating here in a couple months, so I want to make sure we get our fun in before this card rotates. Out of standard, Simic Ascendancy is a 2-mana enchantment, green and blue. You can pay 3 to put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. Whenever one or more +1/+1 counters are put on a creature you control, you put that many growth counters on Simic Ascendancy. And at the beginning of your upkeep, if Simic Ascendancy has 20 or more counters on it, you win the game. So it's one of these fun kind of alternate win condition type of spells. There's lots of good counter synergy currently in Standard. So it's like it's a fun card to continue playing around with. So this is our updated version of it. So here we have a couple unsummons. Just gives us a little bit of flexibility here to bounce our opponent's creatures, because we don't really have, Simic doesn't really have good interactive spells. We don't have like removal and things like that. So Unsummon kind of gives us a little bit of tempo to kind of bounce any big threatening creatures on our opponent's side. The nice thing about Unsummon is it's flexible. You can kind of use it to protect your own creatures as well from removal, sweepers, target removal, etc. Or if you just want to get additional counters on your Simic Ascendancy, you can just bounce one of your X creatures and then replay it the following turn, that kind of thing. Like block during combat, bounce it to your hand, and then the following turn untap, play a X-Spell creature, and then get a bunch more counters on your Simic Ascendancy and potentially put yourself in a position to get that alternate win. Alright, Wildborn Preserver here is the 2-drop of choice, 2/2 flash reach. Just pretty sweet versatility here. And then whenever another non-human creature enters battlefield on your control, pay X, and then we can put that many +1/+1 counters on Wildborn Preserver. So not really looking at the cards that put a single counter on them at a time, especially as like a one-time effect. It's not quite good enough. You want to have the option to put multiple counters at a time. And the fact that this is repeatable and depends on how much mana you have, makes Wildborn Preserver a nice flexible card here that can kind of help you grow your Simic Ascendancy while growing your board state at the same time. A couple copies of Invigorating Surge. Just 2 copies feels fine. Obviously you need a bunch of creatures out to make this worthwhile. And so what this does, 3 mana, you get a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control, then double the number of +1/+1 counters on that creature. So that's going to help you grow your Simic Ascendancy, going to help you grow your big creatures, some of which have trample, or we have ways of giving them trample. So Invigorating Surge just kind of help us kind of close our game just with our creatures, but also kind of potentially give us a Simic Ascendancy win as well. So in fact, this is instant speed is pretty fantastic. Llanowar Visionary is another 3-drop of choice here. It's a 3-mana 2/2. When it enters the battlefield, we draw a card, and then it taps for green. This is a slot I was kind of having a hard time with. Kind of looked at Pride Malkin, but that didn't quite feel right, even though it kind of looks like it synergizes well. You could also try Kiora, but I think I'd rather just have the 2/2 body here and the immediate card draw. Obviously, Kiora has more upside, but Llanowar Visionary has felt pretty reasonable to me. So I'm going to run a couple copies of that. 2 copies here of Yorvo. Our 2 colors were mostly green, so you should be able to cast this on curve, generally speaking, but not always, because we do have a fair amount of blue mana sources. So you definitely don't want to run more than like a couple copies, but having a 3 mana that comes in with 4 +1 counters on it is pretty fantastic. Just a 3 mana 4/4 is pretty solid, and then 4 counters obviously towards your Simic Ascendancy count, and it's on curve as well, assuming you have the right mana. And then continues to get counters as you continue to play green creatures, so that's pretty fantastic. Lorescale Coatl, another new card from M21. It's a really fun card here, 3 mana 2/2. However, whenever you draw a card, put a +1/+ counter on Lorescale Coatl. So just on your normal draw step, you can get a counter automatically right there. And then we also have ways, to draw a card. Obviously, the Llanowar Visionary, it's another reason to kind of have it in there, because then you can, Coatl and then draw a card later on with your Visionary, and put additional counters on it. And then of course we have things like Hydroid Krasis that draw a bunch of cards, and so each card that we draw off like a big old Hydroid Krasis is going to put counters on our Lorescale Coatl. So some nice synergy there. Mowu is another nice 4 mana play here. Vigilance Trample 3/3. And if one or more +1/+1 counters will put on Mowu, that many counters +1 are put on it instead. So it doesn't exactly double it, which is kind of what you would like to see. That would probably be kind of a little bit broken if that was the case. But if you put 2 counters on it, then you get 2 +1, so 3 total. So it's a pretty fantastic way to kind of get additional counters towards your Simic Ascendancy count. And then we have things like Vivien to also kind of put counters. +1, put 2 +1/+1 counters on up to 2 target creatures. So you can do 1 creature if you want. And those creatures gain trample until end of turn. So, our Lorescale Coatl, once it starts getting to, 4, 5, 6 power, now we give it trample, and we can start punching through for quite a bit of damage here. And also the -3 can be pretty relevant as well, being able to deal damage to a creature or a planeswalker. Loving that flexibility here with planeswalkers as well. Like I said, we don't have much interaction here, so having Vivien really helps a lot with that -3 at times. Moving on here, we got one copy of Zegana. That's another card draw here, 4 mana 4/4. When it enters the battlefield, if you control another creature with a +1/+1 counter on it, draw a card. So obviously should be having some counters by the time we have Zegana. We can pay 6 to adapt 4, which means we put 4 +1/+1 counters on it. And then each creature you control with +1/+1 counter on it has trample. So it's just a fun little card all around. Zegana. 3 Stonecoil Serpents. Just 3 of here. It's a reach, trample, just the X spell, protection, multicolored, and then yeah, just a fantastic creature all around. But I wanted to make room for Wildwood Scourge as a 4 of, because this can obviously can be abused quite a bit. It's a X and green for 0/0. Enters with X +1/+1 counters on it, and whenever one or more +1/+1 counters are put on another non-Hydra creature, you'll put a +1 counter on the Wildwood Scourge. So it is just kind of a 1 here, a 1 there, but it definitely does kind of add up because it is, you know, pretty easy to abuse this with some of the things that we're doing. Hydroid Krasis, obviously, we're also doing a 3 of as well, kind of as our top end, really, to kind of help refill and kind of gain us some life in the more aggressive matchups. So that's kind of the one thing that doesn't really work with the Hydroid. The Hydroid Krasis obviously does not work with the Scourge here because it is a Hydra. So there's one thing to keep in mind, but pretty much everything else is going to work with the Scourge very, very nicely. Mana base here, we're pretty mana hungry. Obviously, we have lots of X spells and things like that. So we're running 25 lands. We got 5 islands, just the 1 Castle Garenbrig, 8 forest, 4 breeding pools, 4 temple mystery, a couple Fabled Passage. Make sure we have that fixing we need. Maybe try to get make sure we have the triple green for Vivien and Yorvo, things like that. And then 1 Karn's Bastion, since we are having all these counters. Want to make sure we can kind of proliferate and buff those creatures up, especially like as a combat trick or things like that to help you kind of close out games. And I'll try to remember to actually use it this time since I missed that in a previous last version I did of this list. Sideboard here lets you be a little bit more competitive here. We have some more interaction in Stern Dismissal. Be able to bounce a creature or an enchantment on our opponent's side back to their hand. Just a nice little tempo play a lot of times. Aether Gust, you know, there's so many powerful red and green spells you'll need to have answer to, even if it's just kind of temporary. Aether Gust is just a solid sideboard card. A couple negates kind of protect us from not only sweepers, but, you know, like planeswalkers or things like that. Heroic Intervention is going to protect us from removal. All of our permanents get, you know, Hexproof and Indestructible until end of turn at 2 mana. It's pretty sweet. Scavenging Ooze here lets us kind of put counters while exiling stuff from our opponent's graveyard and gain a little bit of life. So just a nice card all around, obviously. Just one copy here of Sorcerous Spyglass, shut down planeswalkers again, but also, you know, things like Priests of Forgotten Gods and things like that can be pretty annoying for us as well. And for our enchantment and artifact hate, we got a couple copies of Gemrazer. Since we're playing a bunch of X creatures, obviously Gemrazer works fantastic, being able to mutate on top of those, and it's a 4/4 with all those counters on top of it with trample as well, so that's pretty sweet. And if we need a little more increase the power level a little bit, we got 2 copies here of Questing Beast. Obviously great if you're up against planeswalkers or removal heavy matchups. You know, after if you're expecting your opponent to Shadow of the Sky, you can just kind of hold up a Questing Beast and then just kind of have an immediate play to attack in after they've done that, and maybe kill a planeswalker or at least do quite a bit of damage to it and things like that. So yeah, that's the deck in that way. Okay, against Trenzalore 11. Yeah, that seems pretty good. Simic Ascendancy on 2 into Coatl, and we got 4 mana for our Mowu. So yeah, curves out nicely. So yeah, just keep the breeding pool. Alright, against what, life gain or cats maybe? Another land. Not exactly what we want to see, but we have all of our big expos, so we don't hate seeing lands. But obviously with this hand, a land is not ideal. Stonecoil, so that'll be a nice payoff for all these lands. Make sure we pass priorities, because even though we're tapped out, we could still potentially cast this for X technically. So it'll hold priority on our turn. So we don't want to give away any information if we don't have to. Not that it matters too much, but so they're just Orzhov Life. We do love some veto. Get our Coatl down. Probably just go for Mowu, crack this passage, another green source, play Mowu, and we'll kind of figure it out from there. Obviously, Orzhov does have ways of interacting with our enchantments. They have Banishing Lights, Mortifies, things like that. We can block the Charm Stray here. Let's go for the life gain. Going for the life gain. We'll get that off the board. So they may have a sweeper here. Or they're just kind of desperate to get life gain at all costs, maybe. Is Mowu even the best play? We don't have any X spells in hand, so maybe it's not. We just drop another Coatl and swing at a Johnny. See if they want to lose their veto. They do not. Okay, so they don't have a sweeper then. Well, they're still at 26, and we're all the way down to 13, so not looking too good. We have some, you know, we have some life gain and some potential there, but yeah, they get a pretty easy attack here. They keep gaining life. They didn't even attack. I mean, we're slowly getting there. Let's go and crack the Fabled Passage. Hopefully, get some of these lands out. We'll do 2, I guess. Just to kind of flood the board a little bit. Get a couple 2/2s and we can kind of grow our Scourge a little bit. So we're all the way down to 10 though. I mean, if we can kind of deal with these creatures, at least the veto, then we have a chance. But kind of like a Light of Hope here, and block with a Bloodlord, and then put a counter on it and kill our dude. But they're so far ahead here, they probably doesn't even matter. Yeah. Probably just better off using it for a life gain and dealing damage to us. Without a way to deal with this veto, we're probably just dead here in a couple turns. And now they've got a bunch of good creatures out. We're up to 8 counters, but yeah, I just don't think we're going to get there. You know, we can't even really attack in because our life total is so low. 10 counters. What do we got? 11, 12 counters now. That's cool. That is cool. But down to 3 life. I mean, we're just dead to a veto kill next turn. So, do we have much game against what they're trying to do? Probably just need a Questing Beast. Mowu felt a little lackluster there. Vivien can kind of help us fight the vetoes. They don't have much graveyard interaction, do they? They probably have like Revival Revenge though, but they're probably not really doing the revival part. I mean, we can Stern Dismissal and things like that. I don't really enjoy these life game matchups, to be honest. Do need some more ways to deal with their creatures. So we do want these Stern Dismissals, leave the Unsummons. Just any enchantment removal from them, so probably don't need Gemrazer, but what else do we want to cut? I guess the Surge, Invigorating Surge. Just kind of expendable. It could help us win, obviously, if we can get there, but we need to kind of keep them off creatures so we can get to that point. So once again, we have to turn to Ascendancy. So I'll also just lead on this Temple here, try to scry into a land probably. Turn 2 Ascendancy, turn 3 Stonecoil or Scourge, probably Scourge, because then we can follow it up with Stonecoil and get additional counters on the Hydra here. Yeah, just don't really have another land here. Fabled Passage, not exactly what I had in mind, but it'll do. Alright. Pridemate. We can bounce that. I guess we'll play this for 1. And we can play the Stonecoil for 4 next turn. They're going to grab this Pridemate though. Okay, they just tap out for Aerialists. Swing 2. All they basically need is some life gain, and these 2 creatures are off to the races. And especially since we don't have much interaction, this is kind of a unfortunate matchup for us. But you know, we're in pure Jank territory, so some of these matchups are just not going to be what we want. I guess I just have to do 3 and just leave the Dismissal open. Pass turn. Next turn we can Vivien and maybe fight something, maybe the Aerialist. See what they have here though. Patrician, sure. We have reach. Looks like they forgot about that. Cool. We'll take that. We'll bounce you. Play Vivien and we'll fight the Pridemate. Okay. Wow. Simic Ascendancy number 3. Definitely not what we wanted to see. Alright, so we're in a decent spot here. We have Vivien plus an Ascendancy that was there on curve, and a couple X spells. So we'll see. Oh, they just decided to back it in. I guess their hand wasn't very good. No veto this time. Alright. I think we're just running back. I still don't see much removal for them, so I guess they're kind of all in on just trying to gain life and kill you with veto, or just big Pridemates and Aerialists. But we can go pretty big ourselves, we just need a little bit of time to get there. Obviously, we didn't know we had double Ascendancy in hand, which is pretty worthless in that spot. Yeah, obviously love seeing the Vivien. We got the Unsummon for a little bit of a tempo play. You can Passage for a blue source. Well, turn 1 Knight of Evil Legion is pretty strong for them. Yep. Alright, we'll get our blue source. Alright, Yorvo looking a little medium in this spot, but that's alright. Dodging Patrician, perfect. Now we can snipe this Knight. Alright, beautiful. Pretty likely they were going to have a creature in that spot. I think we actually just... No, I think we should play this for 2. Hold up the Unsummon. Decline. I guess we could have done that before combat just to get in for 2. Angel of Vitality. I'll probably just bounce the Patrician. I mean, the Vitality is just the 2/2 flyer. So we can snipe that off. Perfect. Now we can swing 4. And we're in a pretty solid spot here. We can play as pool tapped, drop our Yorvo. Oh, Coatl's pretty good too. Let's go for the beats here. And we'll take that action. Alright, so we can put a counter on the Preserver, give it 4 power.
This will be fun to watch.
And probably just yeah, swing 4. The Serpent can has reach, so it can block the Patrician, of course, which is right now just dealing 1 power. I don't think think they have too many ways to buff that up. I think it's more just kind of a there as a lifelinker, but they might have some tricks. We'll see. It's probably worth protecting Vivien if they try to attack. Obviously, they're in Orzhov, so they could just have like a Murderous Rider, Conclave, Banishing Light, any number of removal options. That was not one I was expecting, but I guess that makes sense since they're all kind of all in on life gain. Vivien number 2, and I think it's worth it in the spot. Since that's an only creature, we'll fight. Okay, and they back it in. Obviously, we would have the Yorvo, not fight, because that would mean Yorvo takes damage. Just have Yorvo deal damage to their Patrician, and yeah, once again, I think their hand just probably wasn't very good. Yeah, even though we don't have much removal, just that little bit of tempo with the unsummons and the Stern Dismissals was kind of enough to kind of slow them down and throw them off their game a little bit, and then that's kind of all we need is just to kind of get our kind of creatures online, and then we have ways to kind of pump them up with Vivien, the Invigorating Surge. Obviously, Wildborn Preserver has been very sweet for me, just being able to kind of pump it up with our expos, kind of leaving mana open if we want to grow our Preserver and then attack in with it and things like that. So, yeah. Alright, I'm going to Sloth Monkey. Hope you guys are enjoying your summer wherever you're at. It's finally summer here in Seattle, which is nice. We have two drops. We have an X spell and we have a Scryland, so I think we'll keep. It's not amazing, but if we can, if we just draw lands for the next couple turns, it's pretty fantastic. Sphinx of Foresight. Don't need a third one of those. Okay, this is like a flyers list maybe. These preservers could be pretty clutch. 3 to the top. They liked everything they saw. Green. Don't know what to make of that. Guess we just flash these in. Could have played the Scourge for there and try to build off of that with these preservers maybe, but okay, Sultai. It's like a Sultai mid-range something. So we'll play you, attack 2. And hope they don't have a sweeper to deal with this. I mean, we'd have the Krasis to kind of draw and kind of rebuild a little bit. And, you know, obviously the Mowu is a 4-drop, so it'll dodge like a Ritual of Sit. But if they're running like Extinction Event, that's pretty bad. I never understand like these mid-range decks that have like Plaguecrafter as like their first creature. Like, okay, you killed my thing, but your board is still empty. Like, why not just play like Murderous Rider or Murder or any other removal spell there? Obviously, Plaguecrafter certainly has its place. It's a good card in certain decks, but just like I see a lot of like these kind of mid-range type decks, so they just do nothing for the first couple turns and then Plaguecrafter on 3 just to kill like a creature. It just seems bad. I don't know. Obviously, grab a green source here. We have the 1 blue, so we're fine. So we can Yorvo. And that'll get some counters, go our Wildwood Scourge. Then we get to block. And draw a card, soak up some damage. Yep. So we're just kind of looking to dodge some board clears, and we're in a good spot. Right now, Krasis would just be for 3. So we'll flash this in on their end step, and we're pretty decent spot from there if we can just dodge a bunch of removal. So no double black for a Casualties of War, which is nice. Surprised we're not playing the Sphinx. That would make the most sense. So they're just looking at our creatures to maybe kill something. Like, I don't understand Bonder's Enclave, and you're running Platecrafter and Simulacrum. I'm not sure what our opponent is up to. Alright, so we grow our Scourge and our Yorvo. Okay, we draw another Krasis, so let's fire that off and grow some creatures. Hopefully find a land. There's a land. So obviously we don't have mana to pay right now. We do have a good attack here with the 6/6 and 5/5, so we'll get to cracking. We take it all the way down to 2. So next turn we have Krasis for X4, draw 2 cards. So anything to do, clear our board, we have that, and they just need lots of removal. Sultai, obviously they do have lots of removal on 1 black, and of course there's their 2nd black. Even Casualties doesn't save them because they basically tap out just to kill 1 creature. I'm guessing that's what they have in hand. They're trying to figure out how to use it and realize that it's... Oh, no, Garrick. So they can kill... I mean, they have the Sphinx that can kind of block our flyers, but... Yeah, it's a pretty reasonable play here. We don't have Trample outside of Mowu, so we need... Unsummon works. That works just fine. So we'll bounce you. Attack 3. Alright. Come in clutch. So obviously we did have some we had some outs there. Obviously Zegana gives all our creatures trample. We can kind of close out the game that way. Vivien, same thing. So definitely have some answers there. Alright. So what did we see? We saw the Simulacrum, which is probably not something we want to go out of our way to fight. I mean, they're going to get value off of it. I don't understand Platecrafter again when they're just not running anything before it to maybe sacrifice something smaller, get more value maybe. So obviously we need to make sure we have creatures out, so even if we have to sack something to a Platecrafter, we still have other creatures behind. Kind of want to have some reanimation or some graveyard synergy. The intervention is tempting as well. Probably just want the questing beasts since we know they have a Garrick at least. And Platecrafter, probably not something we want to bounce. Simulacrum, probably not something we want to bounce, so I don't know whether we want that. I think we're fine just leaving Unsummons for just a little bit of interaction. Vivien didn't feel very good there, so we'll take her out. And I guess if they have a bunch of removal, maybe this is the intervention. We don't see much there, but obviously we have to expect Sultai is going to have some removal. So we'll bring in interventions, take out the Surge. Once again, the Surge just kind of feels a little bit win more. Like if you're in a good spot, obviously it's pretty amazing, but if you're behind, why are you so tempting? Obviously, double Simic Ascendancy is not very good, especially without a blue source, so can't keep it. I mean, it's triple green, so we can Yorvo, or we can Scourge. We can Scourge on 2, and then Yorvo on 3, and then we have the intervention, just kind of protect our at least those 2 creatures while we're kind of trying to dig for more and get caught up from having to mulligan. So it feels okay. So we're not in a super rush to get more lands. I don't really want another Scourge though in this spot. So we'll Scourge for 1, and then we'll Yorvo on turn 3. Visionary is reasonable as well. I think we'll just save that for after Yorvo. Try to be aggressive. Let you grow the Scourge. Okay, opponent has 2 blue sources, including a Castle Garenbrig. So yeah, they're from mid-range territory if you're running something like that. Wow, they looks like they kept a worse hand than we did. Cool. So we can Visionary, draw a card, grow Yorvo, which then grows the Scourge. I don't quite have 2 mana open for the intervention until next turn, but that's fine. Opponent's already down to 10, and they've done literally nothing, so... Bonder's Enclave. We're representing 10 damage right now. So, I'm not sure what our opponent's up to, but we'll attack, and if they've got some trick, we have the Intervention. Alright, I guess we'll take that. It's Warnado 160. Alright, that seems pretty reasonable. We Stonecoil on 2, and then the question is, do we want Yorvo or the Coatl down? I guess we'll see what our opponent does. Maybe lead with Coatl. If our opponent leaves themselves open to attack, maybe the Yorvo though. Mulligan down to 5, into Plains, into Charm Stray. Yay, it's life gain. No, some kind of mono-white aggro or something. Well, it's 2 on first strike. Block the Charm Stray at least. Unless they have another one and put the counter on it. So probably just need to go Yorvo here, just a little bigger creature down. Okay, Azorius. Yeah, you can hit for 2. Ooh, there's our Ascendancy. Alright, let's go for the Ascendancy plan. And no attacks. They can keep swinging for 2, but we just keep the 1/1 at bay so they don't lower our life total while gaining life. Alright, well there's a Charm Stray. Now they can swing for 4. And they do not. Okay, playing it nice and conservative. Alright, here we can Yorvo, hold up Unsummon. Mowu's okay, but we'll just get the 4/4 down. Alright, we've got 4 counters now. Let's see what they do. Reading Yorvo pretty hard. Pacifism. Now let's bounce it back. Not how we wanted to use it, but gonna keep our 4/4 around. And keep swinging with their Youthful Knight. They're gonna attack all of them. Double blue. What do you have here? We'll kill the 2/2. Just Yorvo again. Like these Lorescale Coatls are just a little bit too slow right now. So I'll probably go Mowu, and then hopefully we can maybe pull off the Invigorating Surge. Alright, no good attacks. Krasis. Let's go Mowu. Draw Yorvo. I like this. Get this up to a 3/3 if possible. Get above the first strike of the Youthful Knight. And it'll land through that. Well, it's going wide, but I don't have good attacks with Arc Creature being bigger. But we obviously can't attack in, so we're all the way down to 12. They're up to 26, so they could just take damage, not even block, and then just kind of eventually kill us. Alright, there's the land, so we'll do the X3. Still only draw 1, gain 1, but we do get 3 counters on our Ascendancy, so we're up to 12. So if we can just kind of keep them at bay, then we can just win with the Ascendancy here. I don't really want to see Ascendancy number 2. And Yorvo not having Chappels, really no reason to attack in here. If it did, maybe, but I'd rather just keep it back as a 6/6. Not sure what our opponent is doing here. I have 1 blue mana open, holding priority. So we're up to 13 counters, pretty reasonable. Especially on this board, obviously they could go off with like a, like an unbreakable formation type effect that gives counters on everything and kind of swing all. It'd be a little devastating. But we still have some pretty powerful cards in hand. Hopefully we get another land, get up to 6. We can just double Lorescale Coatl, get those going. Keep kind of stalling this thing out. Maybe go for the Invigorating Surge. Probably not for a combat victory, but just to put a bunch of counters for the Simic Ascendancy. Instant speed, we just do that on our opponent's end step, and then it goes to our upkeep, and then boom, get the Simic Ascendancy alternate win. Alright, no attack, perfect. Just love to see a land here. Not a land. We can draw into a land, maybe? Alright, let's try to draw into a land. We got 25, so we should be finding lands. Not a land. Well, it's a castable 2-powered creature, at least. Just fodder for the board state to kind of help keep them at bay. Even if they have the board clear, it doesn't matter. We've got creatures in hand. We got our Simic Ascendancy getting pretty high. We can start swinging with the Yorvo, but we'll hold off. I think I'd rather just go for the Simic Ascendancy win here. I'm not sure if they have any way to interact with our enchantment. We've seen a Pacifism, we've seen Sphinx's Insight. Sure, they just want to gain some life. I'm not sure what that was all about. Alright, well thanks to the Visionary, now we have 6 mana, so we can double Coatl. We can also Scourge as well. But with Yorvo down, I think we're okay. Alright, 18 counters, so pretty much win the next couple turns here. Obviously not this next upkeep, but the upkeep after that. So they can grow their Drake here if they want to try to swing into the air. Obviously the first striking creatures would be pretty tempting as well. If they want to attack, yeah, we'll double block. They can kill one of ours and we kill theirs, that's fine with me. Get that flyer off the board. And we'll just Scourge and tap out, I guess. We'll leave the Visionary just in case, so we'll just do X4. And yeah, we get the Ascendancy win next turn. No reason to attack, we're just going to win with the Ascendancy. Let's have a way to deal with it right now this turn. And, what, 6 mana Jace? Alright, so this is how the Simic Ascendancy works. In these little board stall situations, you still just kind of keep growing counters on things, and win without even having to attack. And let's go. That's game. Sweet. Obviously, Vivien would have been pretty sweet there. Let us to put more counters and then maybe start attacking in. But yeah, we just fell a little bit behind to their kind of go wide strategy. Probably want these Gemrazers in. I mean, bouncing their stuff isn't too impressive when it's just small creatures, but we can bounce their auras. It doesn't really do. Bounce their pacifisms. Might be worth it. We don't want to get rid of here. It's like Mowu, it's like Vivien. Let's actually shave off one Yorvo, one Scourge, and try it like that. Alright. Game number 2. Yikes. Tapped. I mean, everything in here is pretty cool. We just need a third land to get the either Visionary or Coatl down. Get the Scry, and I'm not doing anything on 2 anyway. So we can Scry, and we have a couple draws to get. Preserver's okay, but we just need lands here. So we get the Scry plus a couple draws to find a third land. A Wall of Runes. Okay. Not a land. Alright, let's go Visionary to draw land and get us a kind of a mana dork down. Charmed Strip, sure. Not a land, but Simic Ascendancy will do for now, but we definitely need to find some lands here. If we don't, we are definitely in a world of hurt. Pride Mate. If we don't find lands now, we'll probably not going to come back because the Pride Mate's going to grow and grow. There's a land. Alright, well, Visionary, we do need to get some more cards, hopefully more lands. Karn's Bastion is okay. So, unfortunately, I got the Pride Mate online before we kind of get going with our deck, so we're not going to have good ways of dealing with that. We do have the bounce spells. We're just going to have to kind of figure out a way to kind of grow our creatures, kind of get bigger than it. Okay, we put counters on everything. So just attack for 4. Guess we'll take. Ascendancy number 2. I think we just X3 here. Not a land. Wow, we are struggling to find lands. So 13 cards deep, we found 4. We got 25, so we should have, if anything, a problem with finding too many lands, but here we are. Nice. So we're taking some beats from this Pride Mate still. At least 4. Opponent just kind of has all the answers this game. We still can't find a land. Man. We can Coatl, flash in Preserver. We can Vivien and pick off this Charmed Stray. And then throw something in front of the Pride Mate, I guess. Or maybe they attack Vivien. That'll buy us some time.
Watch out, they bite.
just on the defensive, especially struggling to find our land drops. Pretty rough spot. We do have some ways to kind of bounce this primate with just 2 Stern Dismissals, though. It's not guaranteed we'll find that. And for whatever reason, the algorithm has decided we don't get lands to actually play our deck this time. Okay, Windstorm Drake, and I have no idea what that's supposed to do in your deck. If they attack, do we double block? We kill their primate, but then we lose both of our things. And we have Vivien on like an empty board, which isn't amazing. They attack us. Do we jump block? I mean, the Preserver has reach and it can block. Man, we need lands here. There's a land. Alright, so we still have a chance. Alright, so it's a Coatl, and we're actually going to do the Preserver now so we can Vivien and put some counters on it. So now it's a 3-3, which matches up against their 3-3 flare, but obviously they can still have some combat tricks. But down to 8, still think we still have to go for the blocks if they do attack in. And they're up to 25, so it's kind of up to them, whatever they want to do there in the driver's seat. Okay, pacifisms. They can kill our Vivien now. We don't have a way to deal with that. Obviously, we can Gemrazer to blow that up. And if we can kind of get a board state going, we have the Invigorating Surge to kind of either Ascendancy or trample through for some damage, maybe. But yeah, losing Vivien here really sucks. They're just super far behind. I mean, they only have 2 cards in hand, and they're kind of stuck on 1 white. So that's maybe helping us. Three mana holding priority. Here we go, opponent. Just don't understand why people hold priority when there's like nothing, like if you're holding a counterspell, you're not gonna do anything to all those things. So if you just let that resolve, and we can kind of keep the game moving along. We'll decline because we want to get this Gemrazer down. We'll mutate, see if that resolves. Yeah, I'm destroying the pacifism. Do you have a response? I don't have good attacks. You're at 25 life, I'm at 8. No reason for me to attack. I'm not sure what you're worried about over there, opponent. You're still in the driver's seat. At least have some blockers now. Here's our second white source. Another Youthful Knight. Down to 1 card in hand. Seem to be some kind of an instant because they've been holding priority quite a bit here. Wish they would just cast it so we can kind of keep this game moving along. No attacks. Okay. Alright, so we gotta grow these Coatls thanks to drawing a card. We can Simic Ascendancy just to buff all of our creatures. We also have the Invigorating Surge as well. So I think we're okay here. Obviously we need this Gemrazer to live. And not just live, but also to dodge any pacifisms. So we don't die to this 3-3 flyer. A lot of times snakes have reach, but these snakes do not. Orator, sure. Alright, question is... okay. You just threw away your 2/1 creature? I don't understand that. Do we double activate the Ascendancy? No, I think we just Karn's Bastion. So we get 3 counters instead of 2. And grow all of our board at the same time. Alright, Yorvo's pretty good. Alright, so we can Yorvo, and then we can hold up Invigorating Surge, and then win on our upkeep, as long as they don't have some way to kill us. Even if they have a board clear, we can just, we'll pay 1. So they know we're leaving 3 mana open for something. Well, that's fine. If they have a board clear here, we can just, in response, just Invigorating Surge, just double the counters, which would then put a bunch of counters on the Ascendancy. And I think we'd have a game. So we got 5 counters here. So yeah, we should win this on our upkeep. And we're up to 19, so not going to take much. We can also just activate 3 mana on Simic Ascendancy. I don't understand that. Like, yeah, we have a 7 reach when you've got a 3/3/5 that can potentially pressure our life total. Let's see. Yeah, let's let that resolve. We just need 1 counter, so it's fine. Could have surged on that one since they had the most counters, but since we're pretty much there, just does not matter. So they're just suiciding. Cool. I'll fire you off 4 counters. We'll go up to 5, double, boom. Alright, we got there. Alright, let's go over the deck here. Got a Palladium Myrrh. Sweet. That's a pack. Let's see what we got here. Core 21. What do you got? It's not gems. That's good. Transmogrify. Pretty sure that's the 4th one. Haven't really played around with this too much, but obviously doing some work in Historic thanks to Luca and token shenanigans again. But yeah, seems pretty cool card. Alright. Invigorating Ascendancy. So yeah, obviously we do have some rares and things like that. So if you are obviously on a budget, don't fret. There's lots of good ways to substitute some of these cards. Zegana rotates, so it's not really a priority. Vivien rotates from M20. A good card, obviously. If you don't have it, though, or you don't have 2 copies, you can always just run Garruk, just as a way to kind of give your creatures trample. Obviously, we have some of our creatures do have trample, but not all of them. So obviously, giving Yorvo or Lorescale Coatl trample thanks to Garruk is pretty powerful. Obviously, Yorvos are rare. So it's pretty easy to replace some of these cards. You can always move in like a Cure, I believe that's an uncommon. Invigorating Surge, obviously put in some work against that Azorius list. Simic Ascendancy is unfortunately a rare. It is a very janky card, so if you don't have 4 copies, you can kind of run what you have. And just kind of, you don't have to have all 4 copies, and you can just kind of focus more on just the creatures, and it's just kind of there to maybe win with it sometimes. Wildborn Preserver is pretty good card all around, so I definitely would like some of these, but there's room to play around with this slot as well. I like having the Unsummons here. I know a lot of people like the cards like the Ozolith, if you want to go that route. I feel like it's kind of a trap in some ways. Obviously, if it everything lines up perfectly, then Ozolith is amazing in this deck, but if things don't, then it doesn't really do a whole lot. So I don't know, I'm not completely sold on the Ozolith. But if you want to run that instead of like Unsummon, it certainly makes sense. I do like the Unsummon just for have a way to some way to interact with your opponent's creatures. Krasis obviously is a good card that you should have in your collection, even though it rotates. Wildwood Scourge is an uncommon. Stonecoil, another good card that you should have in your collection as well. Yeah, I would just kind of focus on cards that have other counter synergies, which there are plenty of, but particularly ones that are either repeatable or things you can do like put multiple counters at once, and that'll be kind of your best way to go with the Simic Ascendancy. Or you can just kind of go for a little bit more of like a proliferate type of a strategy, add more cards that proliferate. Obviously, Mowu isn't super important, but it's an uncommon, so it should be pretty easy to add to your collection. And the Coatl, I just really like this card. It seems really cool. Like, it's not overpowered or anything, but obviously it's kind of our version of Johnny's Pridemate, I guess. We're not really drawing like a ton of cards. We do have obviously the Llanowar Visionary and Zegana. That's kind of our main card draw engines, and Hydroid Krasis can draw multiple cards, of course. So we have a little bit of synergy in that way. But you're just going to get counters just on your upkeep. or your draw step, no matter what. So that's pretty cool. And it's not really hard to kind of tweak this to your particular liking. Obviously, Karn's Bastion, it's in here just as a one of. It's kind of nice to have that proliferate option. Obviously, making the dual lands are pretty critical because we do have some pretty tight mana costs. So obviously, you want to make sure you have those. Castle Garenbrig is nice, but not necessarily like super critical. But since it's from Throne of a Drain, you probably have one of these anyway. If not, then it's fine. Just forests are fine. And yeah, sideboard, you should definitely have a Questing Beast and a Gemrazers in your collection as well. Obviously, Spyglass can be kind of whatever. Scavenging Ooze is a good card. Same thing with Heroic Intervention. So, but there's still obviously there's room to kind of play around with this list. Not really set in stone. I've kind of tweaked it quite a bit. I feel pretty good with how this one is. I don't know if it's 100% like how the best that it can be, but it's definitely a lot of fun. And yeah, Simic Ascendancy is a card that I'll be sad to see rotate out of Standard. Definitely fun little Jank alternate win card. But obviously we'll still be playing around with the Historic, and I got a couple other lists coming up here pretty soon. So thanks for watching, guys, and until next time, make sure you Jank